Hello, everybody. Merry Christmas Eve. Well, yeah, Merry Christmas Eve. It's Christmas Eve. The week has been very weird. I've lost track of all days. I don't know why. Partially because I normally don't work the week of Christmas, and I did work this week. And it's hard to keep track of what day of the week it is with the Christmas itself being on Friday. Day after Christmas is suddenly on the weekend. It all just kind of snuck up on me. But it is Christmas Eve, and it is normally the evening of the Trusty Huckster live sale. And tonight is not going to be a live sale. Tonight is just going to be a live chat. It's Christmas Eve. Figure most people are, doing stuff with their family, having fun Christmas time, doing whatever they do for Christmas. But there's some of us, myself included, that couldn't really do all the Christmas plans they normally do for the current situation, plus other reasons. So I figured, you know what? It's Christmas Eve. I have basically found an extended family through the YouTube vintage community. So I figured, you know what? Why not just go ahead and go live, see who ends up being around and available, and we're just going to hang out tonight. So it's not going to be a long evening because there's another event going on right after this that I want to make sure everyone can jump over to. So we figure I just go live and say hi to everyone and talk about Christmas and maybe talk about what people normally do in a normal Christmas season versus maybe what people are doing differently during this Christmas season. And it's great. We've got Carrie coming in from Austin. So the Southern Christmas, be interested to hear what you did this year versus what you do normally in Austin when you celebrate Christmas. And then on the other side of the continent, we've got Melanie in Canada. So we've got what the Canadian, we maybe learn a little bit about what the Canadian Christmas holds for everybody. We got Rebecca Higgins. Sorry, Rebecca, I can't remember where you're coming in from, but welcome for joining us, Rebecca. Auntie Christy, who is in California or Las Vegas? California, I'm pretty sure. So we've got the West Coast Christmas. So maybe we hear a little bit about what Auntie Christy does for her traditional Christmases versus the Christmas that everyone's celebrating this year. We got Randy Grossklaus, who is local to me, Chicago area. We missed each other visiting the Rustic Fox, where I have a booth. I was there a few hours after Randy was there, so we missed each other. But it was a Chicagoland Christmas. We've had some really weird weather here in Chicago. I think yesterday we hit a high of 50, and then a ridiculous summer thunderstorm came through, wind crazy. And today I think the high was 15. So we have quite the extremes, but no snow, which to be perfectly honest, I'm perfectly happy with that. Chicago gets a lot of snow, but we don't necessarily get white Christmases all that often. Our snow tends to come heavy in January and February. Rebecca is up in Maine. So I don't know if you got hit with that snowstorm from a couple weeks ago. You guys probably are used to having a white Christmas. So I'll be curious if let us know if you're celebrating it wherever you are. Let us know if you're celebrating a white Christmas. Got Dawn Schonkweiler, head of the Just One More Dachshund Rescue fundraiser or rescue organization. We did the fundraiser for her. She is in Maryland. And I can't remember if you got hit with that heavy snow too. I know Pennsylvania, New Jersey, there were definitely areas that got hit. And I don't know if that snow is still around or if it's all melted by now. We got Sue coming in. Merry Christmas Eve to Sue. Thank you. Curious Cat joining us. Might be for the first time. So if it is, welcome. A Curious Cat, let us know where you're coming in from and talk about celebrating Christmases. Karen, another West Coaster, celebrating Christmas in San Francisco. No, I celebrated Thanksgiving in San Francisco one year. Did not do Christmas. Thanksgiving, was when I was in junior high. We did a trip to California, and we ended up in San Francisco, and we had pizza in the hotel for Thanksgiving dinner. That's my memory of San Francisco. I think that's actually the only time I've been there. So Karen, thanks for joining us. Belinda Carroll joining us again. Kylie Cat coming in from, I think she's in Wisconsin. So thanks for joining us, Kylie. Blue Feather Mercantile, Gary, the Bald Crow is here. He's from Eastern Kentucky. So I don't know if you're in the mountain region. So I don't know if you normally you're kind of south, but if you're in the mountains, maybe you get snow, Gary. I'm not sure exactly where you're located. But welcome. I'm glad you could join us. And we got Katie in from Vintage and Vinyl. So she's got the Florida Christmas. Probably not going to have the white Christmas. Lori, Blue Flamingo Mercantile. Let's see. When I ship to Lori, I'm shipping to Florida, I think. I try and remember things, and sometimes I'm good, and sometimes I'm just really not. Trisha, Sandy Otto, I want to say she's in the Pacific Northwest, but no, that's Stephanie. No, I think that's where Sandy and Otto is. So thank you for joining us wherever you're coming in from, Trisha. A Curious Cat is saying that White Christmas in Kentucky. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty solid to have a White Christmas in Kentucky, unless you're kind of in the Appalachian Mountains there, Smokies, that kind of thing, if you've got the higher elevation. So again, Chicago, you'd think we'd have it, but we do not. Tia Fane is joining us. Hey, Tia Fane, thanks for joining. So Carrie is saying that Austin, she normally heads to Florida. Okay, so you're going to be warm in either case. So you're not going to have snow. I'd be curious, Carrie, in Austin, because that's like not super southern Texas. Have you ever had a white Christmas in Austin? I don't know if that's where you grew up, but I'd be curious. This is, some warm places do randomly get snow. And I'd be curious if Austin ever had it. Again, I've only visited Austin once or twice, so I don't know enough, but I know it's not cold. So let's see. Yes, so seeing I got it right. Pacific Northwest, so 200 miles. Oh, north of Stephanie. Okay, I'm not exactly sure where she's at, but okay, so you must be coming really close to the Canadian border, because you're both. That puts you both in Washington State, right? So okay. Gabrielle White, so another Canadian. A barely white Christmas in Ontario. Okay. And you said, but you'll take it. So that's good. Some people celebrate the white Christmases. For me, it's like, I don't dread them, but I also don't feel like that's what makes Christmas. Kibi, hey, Pam, Kibi's Collectibles. So Pam, I think, is in Ohio. So yeah, I can't remember if you guys got part of the storm. I can't remember what part of Ohio you were in. I went to college in Southwest Ohio, and it was an area that basically I was told we were in the ice belt, which was something I wasn't even aware existed. But so we were far enough south that we really didn't get any of the lake effect snow or the northern snow, but far enough north that it wasn't just rain. So we got a lot of ice. We got snow down there too, but in Ohio, I was used to getting ice in Ohio, which made the hilly campus of the college I went to very fun to try and walk through in the winter. So we've got Dragonfly Attic is in Georgia. Oh, wow. They're saying you're going to get snow tomorrow? Okay. Well, but at least you'll know how to drive in it. So if you're a Chicago girl, so that's good. Got to spread out the Chicago knowledge of how to drive in the snow. So if you get it, good luck. I lived for a couple of years in Southern Maryland, about a half hour south of DC, and it got snow a couple of times, not a lot, but we did get snow. And the place basically shut down, and people did not know how to drive. They were freaking crazy. And I will say, because of that, not just that, but not just winter, but just driving in general, I came out of the Chicago suburbs, moved to outside of DC. My car insurance premiums doubled when I moved outside DC, because of the crazy drivers that were in that area. And that snow came, just a little tiny dusting was enough to just send people off the edge. So we've got, the Nurse Flipper is joining us. Hey, Kat, thanks for joining. I figured you would be busy doing Christmas Eve with your son. So I am honored that you're joining our channel. And I don't know if you have to work for Christmas, but if you do, appreciate the work that you're doing, both being a nurse and then also all the education stuff you do as the Nurse Flipper. If you don't follow Kat, make sure you follow her channel. She just puts out some great content, particularly if you're a reseller. She has some great videos on what to be on the lookout for, things that sell. And she just hit her 5,000th subscriber. So she is definitely climbing the ranks. And it was actually on her show that I was chatting. And actually, that was when I hit my 1,000 subscribers. So I always am honored when Kat is around. I was wrong with Pam. I don't know why I thought Pam. I thought you were in Ohio, South Carolina. So, okay. CLC. All right. So Connie, she is in Ohio, and she's got snow in Ohio. So Good to know. Let's see. Try and catch it. I feel bad if I missed anybody, but I keep jumping every time I try and click on somebody. I think we covered quite a bit. I covered most of the people. We, continue in the chat. So, like I said, so tonight we're just kind of everything's a little free form. We're going to be chatting, so keep things up. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, so Western Washington does not get much snow. Rarely a white Christmas. Okay, I guess I've heard that. I get because of with the ocean that it kind of makes it more of a temperate climate. Because you're farther north than I am. But I guess because with the ocean, I guess that kind of helps keep the snow away. Hey, Helen. Okay, so that's interesting. I guess I would have assumed, Pacific Northwest would be covered with snow. But so let's see. If there's even a whisper of freezing precipitation, forget the city shuts down. Okay, that was the same thing. That's much farther north, but when we lived outside DC, first winter we were there, we got a phone call from the school. School's canceled tomorrow. We're like, why? They're like, oh, we're going to get snow. And we're looking out. Like, wait. It's not even snowing yet. What are you talking about? And they would shut down snow, and Amelia would get up in the morning, and we're like, oh, snow day. I'm like, well, no, you have the day off school, but there's not a single snowflake on the ground, so you don't think you're going to go sledding or anything. So yes, the farther south you get, an inch of snow can really wreak havoc in an area. So sometimes it's rightfully to shut down because then you get the crazy drivers. But those of us from the north then do have the right to mock you, and we will. So anyway, so tonight is, again, a little bit of free form. Not obviously, if you joined late, I'm not doing a sale. Apologize if you joined hoping for a sale, but it's Christmas Eve, and I'm not that mercenary. I really wanted to do something for the people that maybe didn't have family around them, or to be perfectly honest, were pretty much sick of your family and wanted an escape. I'm here to give you that. And so we're just going to chat, through some of the things that we're doing. So Kat's got 20 people in the room, but then she's off for 3 days. So, okay. Well, stay safe, Kat. Hope hope your pod, your bubble is very good, or you're in an area that's very safe. Because that's what's complicating all of these things now is people want to spend time with family. And I know the Huckster helper, she's dealing with family holiday with her boyfriend's family. And they all have different perspectives on what they need to do to be around each other. Do they need to wear masks? Do they need to social distance? What can we do? It is 15 degrees outside, so they're not really hanging out doing Christmas in the yard. It's difficult, and some people are stressed about it. So, tonight is a stress-free evening. Going to have a special guest who's going to come on in a little bit. So, we're gonna have some fun with that. We're gonna hope you guys figure out what the special guest is. And one of the things that the Huckster helper has been doing with her boyfriend, she did an advent calendar with him primarily to eat the chocolate. But what they did for every day was a get to know you question. So I stole that idea, and we're going to kind of do some of that tonight, and kind of start things off with everyone sharing what is your favorite holiday movie. And I should have been more like Mary Beth, and I should have done banners. I didn't think about that. She's far smarter than me. But anyway, so you just pretend, or I'll type it now. What is your favorite holiday movie? And it's one of those cases that I am showing you the wrong thing. I am not even sure the answer myself, because I don't really remember growing up watching holiday movies, and like a lot of things that you do with, what's your favorite, it's because you built it up through some sort of a family tradition. And, you got to think of, like, for those of us of a certain age, we didn't have a VCR growing up. You didn't have a DVD player growing up. We didn't even have cable growing up. So you were limited to the handful of channels, and you waited to see what, shows came on. And, I would say that one of the shows that came on a lot was It's a Wonderful Life, but that's not my favorite. That is not my favorite movie. I don't not like it, but I find it somewhat troubling. Just the actual storyline behind it, Mr. Potter just needs to be shot. But, it's like, it's one of those questionable, but I get it. It's a lot of people's favorite because there's certain things that they remember about it, or they do with the family. A lot of people really love A Christmas Story. I actually never watched Christmas Story. Somebody just said it too. So Curious Cat, Christmas Story. I actually never watched Christmas Story until I was well into adulthood. I don't know why I had never seen it. Truly don't. Like, it was around, but for whatever reason, it was just not something I would, that I had ever seen. If I had to pick one, Tia Fane's pulling at my heartstrings. It's Meet Me in St. Louis. It's hard to say that that's specifically a Christmas movie, but it does have my favorite Christmas song in it. Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. And it's just a great movie. Judy Garland, trying to think who else is in it, but it's technically about the build up about a family in the time building up to the 1904 St. Louis World's Fair. But Christmas does occur during the show, and they have a Christmas song. So it does kind of get associated with Christmas. So Sue is saying Bells of St. Mary. All right. I know it's a black and white movie. I'm almost positive I've never seen it. Is it Bing Crosby? Okay, I'm gonna have to buy a vowel, Sue. I don't think I actually know that one very well. White Christmas, Dragonfly Attic. Okay, right there. We just watched White Attic as the Huckster Helper was here. We were celebrating Christmas. We just put on a whole string of Christmas movies. That was one of them. Actually, no, I take that back. It was going to be one of them, but we watched that when we decorated the tree. And she's like, I'm good. So I don't think she likes White Christmas as much as I do, but I do like White Christmas. Christmas Vacation, to be perfectly honest, I couldn't get into that movie because the entire Vacation series, as you meet all the family members, they're my relatives, and I really don't want to see that honored on screen. So it's just, that is not a show that I tend to go to. Let's jump down. All right, so Jeannie Lyle is saying Fred Claus. Oh, see, now I don't think I know that one. So Kylie's got it echoing another National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Okay, so it was Bing Crosby. So the Bells of St. Mary's of Bing Crosby. I want to say maybe I've seen like the still for it, or maybe even a trailer for it. Like, I love old movies. That one might be something I might have to look for. Fern Finds, I saw somebody else had, it's Miracle on 34th Street. I've only seen the remake, I think maybe once or twice. I do like the original one with Fred Gwynn as Santa. A super sweet story. I do like that quite a bit. So let's see. So somebody else is just saying, so Kylie's also saying she didn't see Christmas Story. Yeah, so I don't know why that would be. Like, maybe it just wasn't on as often. Oh, okay, Carrie, you hit it on the head, and I did not even think about it. I grew up with that stop motion stuff. So you are absolutely correct. Frosty, Rudolph, the elf who wanted to be the dentist, the abominable snow. I don't even remember which stories they all go to. But oh yes, that is what I grew up watching all the time. And even as more animated, like once Disney hit its stride with like the big movies every year, which was, again, that was like I was in college or maybe adulthood at that point. My parents, particularly my father, still felt that stop motion animation was the claymation that was the best animation ever, that trumped anything that Disney could do in any sort of hand drawn. Now, I think that's crazy, but yes, I didn't even think of that. I guess I block many things from my childhood out, and evidently that was one of them. But those are fun, and I do remember watching a lot of the claymation. So, okay, so Sue, you were saying that the Bells of St. Mary was on last night. All right, yep, so I missed that. Terry's echoing the White Christmas, A Christmas Story, and Miracle on 34th Street. And yes, Maria, thank you. Natalie Wood. I couldn't think of who the people were in that one. So yes, the Natalie Wood. The remake was done with the little girl. Yeah, I can't think of what the little girl's name is. She was the girl that did, she was Matilda. But I can't remember who any of the adults were in that one. Because that's pretty old. Oh, yeah, Greg, I'm sorry. Charlie Brown Christmas. That is Ashley got it the Christmas tree. Got it the little Charlie Brown Christmas tree. So yeah, so that's great. There's actually a lot more variety. Okay, wait a minute. What? Love Actually? Is that a Christmas story? I haven't seen that. in ages, and I don't remember it well enough. There's a podcast. I follow a podcast. I want to say it's a Broadway podcast. I want to say that's where, but they're advertising a podcast specifically for breaking the 10 stories of Love Actually into 10 episodes of its own podcast. I just didn't remember the movie well enough to actually listen to the podcast. But if someone really likes Love Actually, there is a podcast where they all compare and contrast the stories and the good and the bad aspects of them. Hey, Steve, thanks for joining us. We're talking about our favorite Christmas movies. And Dawn's is Bad Santa. All right, I think a little less of you now, Dawn, but no, just kidding. I actually have to say, I don't think I've ever seen that one. Home Alone, that's a good, that's a fairly good standard. That was actually filmed in the Chicago area. I probably should like it more than I do. Okay, well, we got trivia. So Dolly was on the Island of Misfit Toys because she was a redhead. I do not remember that. That was why she was a Misfit Toys, because she was a redhead. Oh, that's crazy. 4 Christmases. I agree with Katie. That I've probably only seen that once. I think I saw that in the theaters when it came out a few years back. But I was joking with the Huckster Helper that that's basically what she is going to endure, if not multiples of it, because she is now a child of divorce and her boyfriend is a child of divorce. And so there's this things you have to juggle. And some families are tighter than others. And so 4 Christmases, some ways it was a little bit tough to see. Because I think at the time, I think it was old enough. I think I saw it before I was technically divorced, but we'll just say that divorce was in the direction I was headed. So it kind of had a really weird undertone when I watched that one. And I think you're right, Mara Wilson. When you say that, I think that was the girl's name that did the remake of 34th Street. And I mean, like I said, I think I saw it. I know I saw it, and I think I liked it. But I don't think there was anything special about it that I thought made it better than the original one. And I'm always big for the originals. I love black and white movies. When our daughter was really little, we had, it was actually my cousin's daughter, was a college student at the time. So we actually hired her to come in. We had a family business. I had a cousin come in and basically live with us for the summer, basically to be a live-in, like au pair nanny type thing, just somebody to take care of Amelia because she was young. And so, it was like she was my cousin's kid, so I knew her, but I didn't know her. So we do dinner and stuff together, and we're like, what do you do? What do you like to do? And she's like, oh, my friends and I, we love classic movies. I'm like, oh my God. And, we love classic movies, Jimmy Stewart and Cary Grant and Katharine Hepburn. And we're like, what's your favorite classic movie? She's like, Grease. I'm like, get out of my house. Classic film cannot be made after I was born. I'm sorry. But it's for a different perspective. She was like 19, 20, 21 years old at the time. So to her, Grease was a really old movie. And it was sad. I believe a lot of people put Die Hard in the Christmas column. I guess I see that. I mean, I thought Die Hard was kind of fun in its own sense, but I couldn't have necessarily think about it as my go-to Christmas flick, but I could totally see. Susie Snowflake is a name that popped up. I was on somebody else's chat, and I'm trying to remember. They were talking about it, and I'd never heard of it, and admittedly I didn't look it up afterwards, so I don't really know who Susie Snowflake was. I thought it was a song. Well, I didn't know it was from a movie. But all right, so. We want to we've got some more get to know you questions, but I want to make sure that I don't keep my my special guest hiding out for too long. So we're going to give a couple hints, and we'll watch to see if anyone can figure out who this person is. For starters, is somebody who has been on my channel before. So if you have joined any of my special programming or sales or whatever when I do group activities, this individual has been on there before. The individual is unlikely to have ever celebrated a white Christmas. This individual has also been on the channel of Vintage Vinny. Vintage Vinny has hosted this individual as well. And no, I don't think Vinny's ever hosted Santa, but you were so close, Carrie. let's see, I didn't write down any hints, so I'm like trying to make them up without being like super duper obvious. So some of it is so here's like a pop quiz, and I didn't turn it into it. This individual did my very first deep dive. So if anyone watched my series of deep dives, the very first one I ever did, this individual was the very first, my very first guest. This individual has an affinity for brooches, also has an affinity for hats, and has an affinity for pug dogs. And we've got somebody with the answer. Katie! So we are going to bring Katie from Vintage and Vinyl is my special guest for this evening. And we're going to welcome her, and everyone is... I'm going to let her talk about. She has something coming up later this evening, so I'm going to be cutting my slot, not cutting it short. It's just a little chat. But as soon as I'm done, she's going to have something coming after it. So let's welcome Katie.
Hello, everybody. How you doing? I'm great.
Thanks so much for joining me. I was trying to come up with. I should have asked you like personal questions to see if see how long it'd take for people to figure out who you were, but I'm not sure what the one was because there's the time lag. So I'm not sure which was the one that people triggered, whether it was the deep dive or getting into the affinity of the brooches and the hats. And I figured the Louis the Pug would have been a pretty good giveaway, and then we're going to start talking about Coca-Cola and vinyl. But we knew what people came flooding in after that, so a lot of people knew that you were coming in. So thank you so much for joining
us, guys. You got it.
Absolutely good guesses, and all people that I would have loved to have on my show this evening. And there's Louis not wanting to feel left out.
Yes, Louis wants to say hello and Merry Christmas to all of you here in the chat.
Now, before we get too far in for the people that are joining us, can you talk about what you've got planned in about 45 minutes?
Absolutely. So I am so excited to take you to some of the best spots in Jacksonville and St. Augustine tonight. I have been working for weeks to get this premiere together for you guys, and we are doing an epic Christmas light premiere. So I'm going to be taking you down to some of my favorite neighborhoods in Jacksonville, old historic neighborhoods. And I'll be taking you to St. Augustine to see the Night of Lights with thousands of twinkling white lights, horse and carriages, and fun trolley rides. I'll be taking you to a neighborhood that does an epic live nativity and luminaria. And I'll be taking you on a journey to a mile-long light show. Yes, a mile-long light show with some fabulous displays. And last but not least, a neighborhood that really should be featured on Christmas Light Fight because they do over miles of lights, and it is just absolutely immersive and spectacular. So join me at 9:15 tonight on my YouTube channel to watch a really cool light premiere, and all the lights are set to some awesome Christmas music.
Excellent. So we've got, it looks like we might actually have a benign roll. So hopefully I've got a few moderators in tonight. If I need to add more, let me know. I didn't notice anything. So somebody was promoting their own Christmas channel. I don't have a problem with that. And any of the resellers, any of the anybody who's here tonight that has their own channels and their own shows, feel free to drop your link, drop the name of your show, talk about if you've got any sales or anything special coming up this week. Again, we're just here to hang out, have some fun. And as for people that might have joined some of my sales, I tend not to be able to follow the chat. I am not a strong multitasker when it comes to that. So once I start a sale, I tend to have no idea what's going on. So a lot of times people will be telling me things and I miss it. And I feel bad because that's when I hear things like Susie Snowflake and people are like, oh, we talked about it on your channel. I'm like, yikes, sorry. But Katie has been a great guest on my channel in the past, and I'm super happy that she was available. Her and Louis were available to join me tonight. And just so you can kind of hang out. And I think Katie had given some answers when we talked about the favorite Christmas movie. But remind us what was your favorite?
Well, my very favorite is Christmas Vacation because my dad and I watch that every year together. It's our special movie, and we've just loved watching that. But I do love Elf and Miracle on 34th Street, and of course Home Alone. And there's so many others that I just so enjoy. And I have to watch, of course, Mean Girls because of the Jingle Bell Rock scene. Someone was saying they don't peg me for a Mean Girls type of fan, but man, I love that movie. It's just fun to watch.
Well, that's good. And actually, now that you say that, I don't think anybody said Elf. Unless I missed somebody, which I do apologize, because even though I'm focusing on the chat, I still can't focus on the chat. So I don't think anyone said Elf. I know that came up on a chat. I think it was actually your channel, Katie. You were doing a live chat, earlier in the week, and I had mentioned that. And Elf is a movie. I will admit, Elf is now a movie. I'm 100% sure I have never seen it. I'm sorry. So Cindy said Elf. So I'm sorry, Cindy. I missed yours. And so did Rebecca. Oh, and so did Florence Fine. Good Lord, were they taking a nap? I'm sorry. I'm using StreamYard, and so things advance quickly sometimes. So I apologize if I miss you. It's not personal. It's literally just it's skipped to a page. I didn't realize I skipped it. But there is an episode right now on Netflix. They have a kind of a series. There's the toys that made us. There are the movies that made us. They now have the holiday movies that made us.
Oh, wow.
First one is Elf, and then the second one is Nightmare Before Christmas. And I don't think anyone said Nightmare Before Christmas, but everyone's going to say, yes, I did. But anyway, I saw the Elf one, and I'm like, no, I think I've seen Elf. And I think it's just one of those cases. I've seen so many clips from it, and I know it's like so part of our just the culture that I'm like, oh yeah, I've seen it. And they showed the end. They talked about the ending. I'm like, yeah, I've never seen this movie. I have no idea what that is. And it's not that I don't want to watch Elf. I just, for whatever reason, I never had. I'm going to assume that is a reference from within Elf, or it's not just an Austin put down. And then Nightmare Before Christmas, I will admit, I didn't even watch the holiday movies that made us. I didn't even watch the episode because it's a movie that I like. I don't like the vibe of it.
I'm not a big Nightmare Before Christmas fan.
Yeah, I get it. It's like it definitely is a different type of Christmas, and I could totally see why people would like it. But to me, it changes everything about what Christmas. It is what it is. Like everyone's going to have different things that they like. I don't like movies that make me maybe necessarily feel. It didn't make me feel uncomfortable, but it was just kind of like, yeah, I don't really like this. I don't really, not really enjoy it.
The comedy in the movies that bring a lot of merry and jolly. That's my favorite. And if you get a warm feeling from a movie, that's what Christmas to me is. So with Nightmare Before Christmas, I don't really get that. And I know I have a lot of theater friends that just love it, but it is just not really my favorite. But you will see an epic Nightmare Before Christmas display.
Oh, really?
A light show. Someone went all out and did this incredible, handmade Jack Skellington thing in their yard, and it's really cool.
I will throw out before we move away from that topic, like I mentioned, so the Huckster Helper was with me yesterday and today. And so that's when we did our Christmas, and we were just doing kind of back-to-back Christmas movies. And one of the ones that she had found, and she hadn't watched it yet, and so we watched it for the first time together, was on Netflix. It was called Klaus, like Claus, but it turns into his name. But anyway, Claus, I guess, Klaus is the name of the movie. It's an animated movie. It's really good. And it's one of those cases where it's like, you want that warm fuzzy, you want that happy ending. But there's also there's like conflict, but it's like kids conflict, like nothing that's like super scary. It's got cool animation. It's just well done. Like Joan Cusack plays the closest thing equivalent to a villain. Anyway, so Klaus was a good find that I enjoyed. But since I've got Katie up on video, I had shared with her some of the chats that we were going to be doing. So one of those is going to be harder for you guys to do in the chat, but I still encourage you to describe. But Katie and I get to do show and tell. And it is, what is your favorite Christmas ornament? And usually it's because is there a story behind it? So if anyone wants to share what their favorite Christmas ornament is and why, I'll let Katie start out with, because she went and ran and grabbed hers. So I'll let her start.
So my favorite Christmas ornament is one that I've had since I was a little kid. And I don't really know exactly what drew me to this ornament other than that it's just beautiful. And I probably have always admired it because it's shiny and it's colorful and it's lovely. And so ever since I was a little kid, I have always thought that this ornament was so magical. It is handmade in Germany, and this was my grandmother's ornament, and then it was on our tree. And I just think it's absolutely lovely. And so when I got a chance to take it off of my mom's tree last year and bring it over here, it just is so special. And I guard this thing so carefully. I'm always afraid it's going to break. In fact, one Christmas, our Christmas tree actually toppled over. I was sitting in the living room and I saw it out of the corner of my eye and I couldn't do anything. And the whole tree just crashed down. And I ran over there, and luckily this ornament was in the back, so it was saved. It was okay. So it is just very, very special to me.
It was meant to be. Mine also comes as a, an ornament from childhood. And to a certain extent, it's somewhat ironic because I don't tend to get into it too much on my channel because I never want to offend anyone. I am not particularly religious. You're down that path. I'm not particularly religious, but I did grow up Catholic, and I went to CCD. And this is, which for the non-Catholics is basically the Catholic version of Sunday school. And this ornament was given to me by my CCD teacher when I believe I was like second or third grade. For some reason, it's like it's not dated or anything. It's just one of those things I always remember. It was like third grade that we got this. And it's this little handmade, just with the toothpicks and then a picture of the Madonna and Child, just on the original piece of yarn that it was originally made with. And it's like what it's turned into as being one of my favorites is because kind of like what Katie just said, because it still survives. This is the one that when I pack it up, it always has to be on top of it because it's paper and toothpicks. This is not designed for, heavy duty usage. But that is always one that gets, I have ornaments. I'm not proud of this. You can all judge me later, but I have ornaments that the Huckster helper made when she was little. Those go on the back of the tree. And then there's the ornaments that are attractive that I really like, and they go on the front of the tree. And this one from CCD always goes on the front of the tree in like pride of place. So that is one of my favorites. So it was a difficult question for everyone to join in the chat because you really can't show. But somebody asked a question, which I thought was a good one too. It was either are you eggnog or something else? And now I can't remember what the other one was. I got to try and find. It was a question that was for people in the chat. Are you team eggnog or team throw it in the trash? Oh, okay. I have not had eggnog in years, like literally decade probably. But I used to just put a straw in the 2-gallon container and just drink it. I mean, I absolutely love it. I never did an alcohol version of it. I just liked the whole milk, it like basically clog your arteries the minute you ingest it. Eggnog. But because I know it's trying to kill me, I have not had it in a very long time. What about you, Katie?
Well, I love eggnog, and I have 2 cartons in my fridge right now, and I've probably already gone through 2 already this Christmas. I could drink it by the gallon if you let me. I just love the stuff.
Okay, I pulled up a comment because this is something, again, when I don't pay close enough attention to the chat. Are Blue Flamingo Mercantile and Casey Addicts related? I know you have the same last name, but I never knew you were mother and daughter.
Yeah.
I feel stupid because I knew you both had the same last name. I've got you filed for my shipping. I know, but your name's not like, something super bizarre. So I just assumed it was a coincidence. So that's fantastic that you're both joining us. And I'm very sad because Kara, you mentioned sometimes you'd be in Florida. I never even made the connection. You'd be in Florida with your mom. Who's now in the chat. So in a very weird way, Trusty Huckster Mercantile is bringing families together in a chat. That is the 2020 Christmas. We join Christmas together as a chat. So we had a few more people join too. I want to give credit to just in time. just in time. I'm not sure you've been on my channel much. I've seen you on many other chats, so thank you so much for joining.
A lot.
I don't think I said hi to Karen earlier, so thanks, Karen, for joining. I think I missed your talking, Katie,
eggnog,
and Aaron. So thanks for all of you who've joined the chat, and I apologize if you jumped in before I could say without me being able to say hello. For those who joined super late, just remember at 9:15 Eastern on Vintage and Vinyl's channel, that will be a Christmas lights video. It'll be a premiere video, so there'll be another live chat going on Vintage and Vinyl's page or channel with a mile long and then plus other Christmas light shows. So Helen is saying a paper mache Santa boot with my name in glitter. Oh, I had all kinds of ornaments with my name in glitter. Awesome. All right, so I had a couple other questions that we had for the get to know. This one maybe a little bit easier for best to be able to answer on the chat. Is what is your favorite song and or ornament? Why I just combined two different things. Don't tell me what your favorite ornament is. Stop showing that and start showing that. There we go. So I kind of alluded to mine earlier. Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas is probably my favorite Christmas song. It's not really something people sing all the time, but it's one of those that when you hear it, and there's a cool story about it too, because it originally was written very, very specifically for the movie. So if you don't know Meet Me in St. Louis, the storyline is this family's in St. Louis. Then there's like the drama, the threat is they're all going to have to move to New York. And they're celebrating Christmas under the expectation of moving to New York. So this song is sung from one of the older sisters, the little sister, saying like, no, things are gonna be great because we're together, we're for Christmas. But all the lyrics that originally were written were very specific to that activity. So it was like, we're going to be in New York. We're going to they were all things about leaving St. Louis and moving to New York. And some, editor, some producer, somebody heard it. They're like, no, we need to come up with a song that can be a Christmas song for people who live outside St. Louis and New York. That it needed. And so they changed. It was the exact same melody. Like nothing else changed. They just changed a couple of the lyrics to make it much more generic. It still really fits the theme of the movie, but it totally lifts out of it. But if you watch it within the movie, it does have a little bit more serious feeling. And then my favorite carol is one I never learned to sing. It's Carol of the Bells, because it sounds completely frenetic, but it's completely organized and amazing. But that's me in a nutshell. I'm completely crazy, but there's really organization somewhere underneath. So it's that carol just always speaks to me, and hearing it done in a choral situation is amazing. But even just the musical background of the bells, I really like that. So what about you, Katie?
Well, my favorite Christmas song comes off of the Bing Crosby Merry Christmas album that I have. This was my grandmother's, and I really, really love Silver Bells. That is my all-time favorite Christmas song, and it is on here. You don't see Silver Bells a lot on vinyl for some reason. You hear it on the radio, but I never find it a lot on vinyl, so I was really excited about that because that's my favorite version of it. Now, my favorite carol is "O Come All Ye Faithful," and I love this version by Ray Conniff on the We Wish You a Merry Christmas album with "O Come All Ye Faithful." So that will always be my favorite. I just think there's something so wonderful about that.
So far, I don't think I've had anybody. I'm slowly going through them. I haven't had anyone echo you or I yet, but I haven't done the whole list yet. "Oh Baby It's Cold Outside." That's a good one. Now that one is one that within the last year or so has gotten a lot of bad press because from a sexist aspect. I'm not going to go into that, but I always found it interesting because it's one of those that until it started getting pointed out, I feel like it's just a song. Like it's just like you grow up with it. You don't really think so much about it. Okay. So I grew up
with my dad and my stepmom in the car singing that song, and we do the different parts. So to me, I always had fun just with the family aspect of it.
So Dragonfly Addict, echoes your Silver Bells, and another vote for "The Baby It's Cold Outside." As much as I like White Christmas, the movie, the White Christmas song, it's fine. But it's one of those that unless it's Bing Crosby singing it, I don't actually want to hear anybody else sing it. Like that's it's only people that get into like jazz and make some weird version of it, like no. You know, that's a classic. You got to keep it that way. You know, people don't. Well, they probably do make a jazz version of "Away in a Manger," and I probably hate that too. But there are some things that just need to be left alone. So "O Come," "O Come, Emmanuel."
That's a good one.
I want to say I know it, but off the top of my head, I can't think. Because originally I thought it was "O Come All You Faithful." Then I'm like, oh wait, that's not what it says.
O come, Emmanuel. And
Okay.
But
the second one, I've never even heard of. In the Bleak Midwinter.
I just heard that song.
That sounds like a Chicago song if ever I heard one, but I do not know that one.
Theophane, that just came on my Sirius XM, the classic 40s, 50s Christmas I've been listening to, and I never heard it, but it's great. And I just heard Susie Snowflake, too, for the first time the other day. Never heard of it.
So Carrie's saying Little Drummer Boy is one of them. There have been, and I don't know, maybe they've always existed, but because like everyone else, I've got nothing better to do. So I'm scrolling on Facebook and Instagram. There are so many memes talking about the Little Drummer Boy being basically evil because like just what you want to give a mother who has a sleeping child, you want to give them a drum solo. So ever since I saw the first one, and then there are many, I can't think of that song any differently than that because I think that is freaking hilarious. Feliz Navidad, very good.
Oh, yes, of course.
Mary, did you know? I would not be able to do the tone. That's like, wasn't that like a Pentatonics thing? Like that's a relatively new song, isn't it? Or is that an old song that just got covered by?
I think it's been covered a bunch. It's been around since I think before I was born, and my mom loves that song, but she always gets choked up listening to it. So now I can't listen to it without feeling her emotion, so I don't personally listen to that song at Christmas. It's sad in a joyful way, if that makes any sense.
Okay, I might have to go listen to that one because like the Mary Did You Know, because we got two different people that are saying that one, and like what's in my head, I guess, is probably just one of the covers of it. So I don't know if I've ever actually heard it as a traditional song.
Did do it, and they did a great job covering.
Yeah, I think that's the one that I'm thinking of, and I guess I didn't even realize that was a cover of something that was already done before. Rebecca's like "We Three Kings." I don't know that one very well. Like the "We Three Kings of Orient" are. That's as far as I know. That's like literally that would be all,
my brother's favorite.
That's all I'd be able to sing. Got another two. Okay, so we were right. So Pentatonics, the Carpenters sing it in a garage. Okay. So evidently, so it is pretty old. I don't know if it goes back to the Carpenters. So I guess it's a Christmas.
Oh, I hate that song. I can't. Nope.
I don't think I know that one.
It's a Christmas song about a little boy whose mother is dying of cancer, and he goes in to buy the shoes one last time before his mom goes to heaven. And the song is incredibly sad, and it plays on the radio like a bazillion times at Christmas. I'm like, no, I can't hear this one more time.
Holy cats. You never know what people will like. All right, so I'm being suggested to do the Drifters version of White Christmas. Oh, okay. All right. I mean, I'm sure there are other really good versions of it. It's one of those cases. It's like any song that's really well established from a specific artist. Is that anytime you're hearing it, like at least in my case, what I then hear in my head is I'm expecting the note to go to a certain place, or I'm expecting it to go up or to go down or to hit the high A or whatever is coming up. So when all of a sudden it turns, I'm like, no, I'm uncomfortable. I don't know what this is.
We will always reign supreme on that for me.
All right. So but I've not heard that one. The Christmas Shoes. I've not heard that one. So I'm gonna have to go
listen to it.
Look up some of these. There's been a couple of a couple of comments in the chat about listening to songs or watching movies while you're baking Christmas cookies. And so that was one of the things that was one of the questions I had was about the Christmas cookies. What is your favorite Christmas cookie? I will have to say I am not a huge Christmas cookie fan. I just did a Christmas cookie exchange. I do not know why, but I did. And I posted it on Instagram. Actually, I gave most of them away. Basically went through the batch. I'm like, okay, I don't want that. I don't want that. I don't want that. I think Christmas cookies in many cases were designed so that they were around, not so they don't go bad. Like you could keep them for 2 or 3 weeks and they'd be just as crappy when you ate them as when you made them. That's like my opinion on Christmas cookies. My favorites are probably not like traditional Christmas cookies. They're just like cookies or sweets. Like, so growing up, Buckeyes, chocolate covered peanut butter balls, like those are fantastic. I don't think those are just for Christmas. Anytime I'm traveling, once upon a time when I used to travel, I would go, anytime I'd go to Cracker Barrel, they sell Buckeyes in a little plastic container, and I'm usually finished the container before I'm out of the parking lot. So I love those. Just regular chocolate chip cookies. What I made for the exchange was actually pumpkin bread. I had muffins, turned them into mini muffins. They weren't as good as the bread itself because they were so small. They dried out a little bit faster, but they were okay. But some of the other ones, some of them were ridiculously well made. Like one made these little cookie crust with pudding and mousse and stuff in it, and then put little tiny marshmallows and a straw in it. It made it look like a cup of hot chocolate. But what they put in was a candy cane. And I hate mint. Hate it. Spearmint, peppermint, candy cane, any mint. I absolutely hate it. I have cinnamon flavored toothpaste. I absolutely hate mint. And so this container showed up with all of these candy cane flavored crap. I'm like, okay, well, you touched the candy cane, so I can't eat you either. You got essence of candy cane. I can't eat you. But
did the others?
Yeah, so you're collaborating. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not going to eat you. What about you, Katie? What's your favorite Christmas cookies?
My favorite Christmas cookie is one that my grandmother taught me to make, and this was my great grandmother's recipe. My dad's mother, Bibi, taught me to make Scotch bread cookies, and we make them nice and thin. The thick ones are really not my favorite, but they got to be really nice and thin. And I make those every year. There's Scotch bread cookies.
Is that like gingerbread? I mean, like I'm trying to decide if I know what that is.
So Scotch bread basically consists of sugar and butter and flour. And so they're not anything that is flavored really, other than it's just like a sweet, creamy, buttery cookie. And it's just delicious. And I like to dunk them in my coffee. And they take a lot of time to make, but they're really worth it. They're just so delicious. So I love those. And then my mom's mother makes rum balls. I love rum balls. They are so good. And that's another, it's not really a cookie, but it's my favorite. Now, my grandmother, my mom's mother, she used to go down to a church bazaar, and they would have this huge Christmas cookie exchange. And she would pack up probably about 20 or 30 cookies in these round tins that we still enjoy and use. And she would bubble wrap every cookie. And somehow, magically, for many years growing up, she would mail them all the way from Missouri, and not a single one would break. And they were good. And because I think that they were made by people who have been making cookies their whole life, so they have like these old family recipes that you just can't beat. But I'll tell you, when you get a bad cookie, you know you've had a bad cookie. It's dry. It's not very good. So you gotta get some ones that you like.
I'm going to be very kind because it's entirely possible some of the people in the exchange might be watching this. So I'm not going to name any cookies, because the elaborate hot cocoa one with the pepper, like, it was amazing. My daughter and her boyfriend cleared me out of those immediately because they had no problem with mint. So they took it, and so a lot of work, but there were cookies in there that even my daughter, who's like, I'll try anything, was like, okay, these are less than a day old and this is crap. Like it was just crumbling. It was just super dry. And it's just, a lot of them are very traditional German cookies. And she studied she was there, she did Christmas in Germany last year. So it's like, she was around people. She's like, yeah, that's the way they make them too. And they think they're good. They're just like super dry. And again, it's because then they don't go bad. Like you could basically have them sitting in a tin for 2 weeks through Christmas and New Year's until it's like a fruitcake. Someone gets stuck eating one, and then it's like, that tastes just like when it was made. Now, there's been a couple of cookies that have hit the list here. That first, peanut butter blossoms. I have no idea what that is, but that sounds amazing. But okay, I don't know what a kipful is.
I've not had that one.
So I don't know if that's a Canadian Christmas thing. You may need to explain that one, Erin, because I have never heard of a kipful. I don't know what a wedding cooking ball is.
Oh yeah, I know. They're white, I think, with powdered sugar on top. They're good.
Okay. Butter cookies. Okay. Magic bars. I don't know what that is.
Is that like because I do love Heavenly Hash, which is basically chocolate and marshmallow. And if it's something like that, I could eat my weight in marshmallows.
I want to say the magic bar because that's like vaguely ringing a bell. Like, is that like the Toll House where you make the Toll House cookie dough, but you roll it into a sheet as opposed to individual cookies? So I'm like, so we'll see if Sue, if you want to give that more explanation of what or if somebody else, if she's gone, if somebody else would know what a magic bar is. But I think we all need to go cooking with Cindy at Mimi's Treasure because what the heck are knock naked brownies? Like, okay, I've certainly never had a Christmas cookie that ever resulted in not taking my clothes off. So that's a new one. So we might need the recipe on that one. Fern's Fine was saying monster cookies, and I think somebody was asking what a monster cookie was. Oh no, well, Carrie asked what the not naked.
Yeah, I'm curious about that too.
So we had some interest there. It was Cindy's cookie recipe.
Imagine taking that to your neighbors. Hey, I made some knock you naked brownies.
My favorite little butter cookies from the tin that you don't need to bake. Okay, I'm all for that. But if I have to make them, the pizzelles, I don't think I know what that is. Is that a type of cookie? It's capitalized. I don't know. Is that the brand or if that's a type of cookie?
Sounds good.
Yeah, pizzelles. The gluten intolerance, that was actually an issue during this exchange because the person who organized it was being very gracious, as they should be. You know, do we need to be aware of any allergies or whatever? And one of the people posted was, I'm gluten-free. And it just like threw a wet blanket on the entire chat because it's like, well, what do you want us to do? You want me to give you tree bark? Like, what exactly am I supposed to give you? And yeah, but she was very cool about it. She's like, look, this is me. Like, I'll participate. I will make you gluten-free cookies so you know how they can taste. But she's like, I don't expect you guys to give me anything. I'll donate them to my family or whatever. Like, she was totally cool about it. But then other people started, talking about their allergies, and one person was allergic to nutmeg, and my post was, well, then I'm sorry, my recipe will kill you because I'm not changing it. It has to have nutmeg in it, and that's what's going to happen. So, okay, so Aaron's answering the question. They're almond cookies shaped like a crescent with powdered sugar. Okay, that I think I've seen. But now, so those were now I forgot what those were called. The Pinzels, Pepsil. What was it?
The Pinzels was no. They were the wedding balls.
So
or that's Kipfels.
Yes, Kipfels are the crescent almonds. Okay, so I did not know that those had a name. But I would missing. Okay, so Mimi's saying they're caramel chocolate decadence. So that's what's going to knock you naked. So yep, anything that's got caramel and chocolate in there, I would absolutely deal with that.
Me too.
Oreo truffles.
Oh yes, I love Oreo balls, which have the.
I'm not sure. Maybe that's what an Oreo truffle is. I kept stopping by one of the booths at the Rustic Fox. They were selling chocolate covered Oreos, and I'm like, oh, they're only $2, and I'm just like shoveling them in.
I love chocolate covered Oreos; they're the best.
Yeah. Okay. And Danny. Yeah. You never have to hesitate. You want to ask me about mint? I will knock it to the curb every time. It is absolutely repulsive. But there are plenty of people who love it. So Aaron loves it. Vintage Roots Collections loves it. So I get it. I am absolutely in the minority. I get it. But it is one of those cases. And yes, you do. You see, no wire hangers. Absolutely. I can't say I've watched Mommy Dearest all that recently, but I do not have wire hangers in the house, and there are no mint. I could make a therapist rich if I ever wanted to sit down because I have so many issues. But something with cornflakes. Cornflake wreaths.
That's interesting.
There must have been an answer to a question because I don't know what that would be. Something about Pioneer Woman.
Oh, she makes a lot of baked cookie type stuff.
Okay, rum balls. You had me at rum. Let's see. Oh, somebody's baking tomorrow. Oh, Lorianne's baking tomorrow. So okay.
Yes.
A lot of people did their baking before Christmas, but I guess these are all different times.
I haven't had time, but I will be making the Scotch bread tomorrow, so I'm excited about that.
Butter. Wait, something with the thumbprint.
Oh, the thumbprint.
Wait, deep fried. You have me a deep fried. What?
Ooh.
Oh, pizzelles are deep fried. Okay. Oh, pizzelle, Italian waffle cookies. Okay, I know what those are. Those okay. I guess I just didn't know that. I didn't know the name. White chocolate. Also a big fan of white chocolate. Like I said, the chat has jumped a couple times, and now I've missed.
You like digestives? I love digestives.
Yes. Oh, Buckeyes, absolutely. So those are my. Well, you're saying Buckeye cookies. To me, a Buckeye is basically a peanut butter ball that has been coated with chocolate with a little circle that's not covered in chocolate. So it looks like a Buckeye nut. When I grew up, they were chocolate covered peanut butter balls, and we just covered them with chocolate because I'm from Illinois. I didn't know what the hell a Buckeye was. Then I went to school in Ohio, and everyone's like, "Oh, you mean Buckeyes?" I'm like, "What?" But I guess there's technically cookies, but so Buckeye, I like the chocolate covered peanut butter ball Buckeyes, but if a Buckeye cookie is something different, I definitely would like to hear that. But yes, because Buckeyes are great. Great.
Buckeyes.
Oh, haystacks. That's like pretzels. It's like pretzels, then like caramel poured over them or chocolate poured over them. I haven't had those in a long time. I had an aunt that used to do all of the traditional baking, and I have not even thought of haystacks since I lived at home. I didn't even think of those. Like Rice Krispie treats, absolutely love the Rice Krispie treats. We are at the top of the hour, and I want to make sure we've got time for Katie to get ready for her next event. One last thing I wanted to cover really quick because I thought it was super sweet. This is a really weird time, and I'm curious if people still do Christmas cards. And I had full intention of doing Christmas cards this year. There's absolutely no reason I didn't get them done. I even went out and bought special vintage Christmas cards like I was specifically going to send out. Never got them done. I don't know what I did instead. I just never got them done. And instead, all these people started sending cards to me. And so now I'm feeling like ridiculously guilty. So I got cards from Beth at Carolina Princess sent me. I don't think she's on tonight. Fatbird Finds sent cards. They sent little custom cards that have the fat birds on the card. Isn't that just like ridiculously cute? Katie sent me a card, vintage and vinyl. So that's sweet that she sent me a card. Trisha from Sandy and Otto, she was on earlier. She sent me a card. I thought that was so sweet. It's a really beautiful card too, from Papyrus.
I think Trisha and I had the same Christmas cards because I got some of those too. They're gorgeous. And
then Martha from Vintage Conversation sent out cards as well. And I just thought those are all like super sweet. I used to do Christmas cards when we were married, and I was very much behind it. But my wife at the time, she would then do the newsletter. Now, I don't know if newsletters are still as common. I did get a couple this year, personal ones, not the ones that I shared here, but a couple personal ones that did include, one was like a traditional newsletter that's kind of like, okay, this is all that's happened to us this year. One of them was like a mini newsletter, and it was almost obvious the reason it was there was because she got a divorce. And so it was like, hey, in case you didn't know, I'm divorced. And so it was like kind of because I didn't know. So it was one of those cases. I think she got them out early just so there wasn't that awkwardness later that, do you send a card to the family or whatever? So like she had a little bit of a mini newsletter in hers. But I think those are the only two newsletters I got. So I don't know if those are still common. So Rebecca's saying that she got two newsletters. That Aaron's saying it's it's like a full book. Everyone needs bathroom reading. Cindy said she did them every year for the last many years, and then she's going to send out cards for the new year. That I've also heard too, is that people are doing like New Year's cards. In some cases, I just don't want to celebrate 2020 anymore, so I kind of understand that. Rebecca, she sends out Christmas cards. Okay, so a lot of people, Danny, you and I think are in the same camp. I love getting them. I think it's sweet to get them, and I would love to do them. I just didn't. And it's like this year makes me feel even worse because it's kind of like, well, what else was I doing? But it's just one of those cases. So what do you do, Kate? I mean, obviously you sent me a Christmas card. You didn't give me a newsletter, so I'm gonna not hold that against you. But what do you typically do?
Well, I love writing Christmas cards. I think it's really fun. I love playing, of course, with my wax seals. So that gives me an opportunity to do that. My grandmother was really big in the stationery, and every Christmas we would get our own personal stationery. And that is just something that I've always carried on, a fun, wonderful tradition of writing letters and notes. I think there's something wonderful about getting something in the mail. I do think, though, that you have to send out Christmas cards to actually receive one back, because I think a lot of times people move, they don't have your address. And so a lot of times that kind of gets lost in the shuffle. But I always try to send them. I feel badly, though, because there's several people. I did a Christmas card exchange on my channel, and there's several people that have sent me cards I have not gotten yet. So I can't write back to them. And I feel terrible. Like, you start going down the list, and I have an old fashioned paper address book, and I'm reading the list. And I'm like, okay, if I send one to this person, then I also have to send one to this person. I end up mailing out over 60 cards this year, probably more. And I know that I've missed some people. And it's hard because I have a large extended family. So I'm like, if I send it to this cousin, now do I need to get that cousin's address? So sometimes you can go down a bit of a rabbit hole with them, but they're fun. And I have family that does do the newsletter. And it's always interesting to read about their grandchildren. Sometimes I'm reading and I haven't met their grandchildren ever. So I'm like, oh, well, that's nice that Timmy was inducted into wherever, but I don't know Timmy.
Yeah, I mean, as people are saying it, like what you just said, I think I did do Christmas cards, and I should have thought of this. I think I did do Christmas cards the year I was divorced, and kind of for the same reason that my friend sent hers. It's like, okay, people that knew us. I mean, I was married for 24 years, so people that knew us usually knew us as a family. And I didn't send to everyone on the list. Like I used to have one of those, like I think it was Hallmark or Current. It was like one of those paperback address books that had the columns that you would have like, did you send a card this year? Did you receive a card? And we use that religiously because if we sent you cards 3 years in a row and you never sent me a card, yeah, you're off, bitch. I'm sorry, you're off. Like you're not getting a card anymore. Because like I would calligraphy the addresses on the Christmas cards. Like that was my contribution to it. If it's kind of like it needs to be, I don't think it should be like quid pro quo, but it's one of those like, okay, we're putting the thought into it. I'm not going to do this if you're not doing it back. So I did do that for the first year of my divorce, which was only a few years ago. And I don't think I've done them since. And I probably should, because there's probably people who have no idea where I live. But we are getting, go ahead.
I always say, maybe this year, because it was busy getting, stuff filmed for YouTube and doing other things, I thought, I won't do it. And then I said, no, I'm going to do a Christmas card exchange. And I was like, wow, so many people wanted to be involved in this. This is great.
It's great because the great concept is like one of those old fashioned things that I think should stick around. So it's like as I'm doing things, thinking about tearing things down from Christmas this year, like what do I want to, prioritize for next year? And I think that is something I probably should do because I literally felt guilty as I was getting cards, both from the vintage community plus the friends and family that sent me cards. I'm like, I probably should have done something because I had no reason not to. Now next year I'll probably be super busy and then I have another reason not to do it. But, it happens. So anyway, I will leave everyone with a thought because Danny from the niche market said that she hasn't even wrapped her kids' gifts yet. So good luck with that, Danny. Carrie is asking the same thing. Are you done wrapping gifts? I usually take great pride in my gift wrapping this year because we were doing it slightly early. All of the Huckster Helpers gifts just got shoved into a bag. I'm like, here you go. But hey, it's the thought that counts. But I do like having gifts underneath the tree. So this is just weird when no one really can see my tree. It's kind of hard to really get excited about doing all the little things. But I'm going to we'll let everyone think about that question. Think about what you've done for your wrapping, because we're going to wrap things up now. Hey, how's that for a segue? Because in 6 minutes, Katie is going to be hosting a premiere video on her channel, Vintage and Vinyl. You see that on her screen. So look for Vintage Vinyl. If you have not subscribed, do so. But in 15 minutes, she'll be, or well, at a quarter past the hour, in 6 minutes, she will be doing a premiere video with a live chat. So the video won't be live. You won't be able to like see her answer questions, but you can still put stuff in. If you've not participated in a premiere video, it's a chat just like this. It's just the only response you get is in text. Not the video itself doesn't change if you ask a question. So you'll still get a live chat. So if you want to continue the evening, I really appreciate all the people that joined us tonight. I'm sorry if you don't have your family, and I hope you have the best of holidays and the best of Christmases. This has been a different Christmas for everybody. So I appreciate you hanging out with us tonight. Hope you had some fun. Hope it took your mind off of anything if you were sad that your family's not around. But whatever the case, tonight's Christmas Eve. Everyone enjoy Christmas Day tomorrow, or in Nate's case, today. But enjoy your Christmas and make the best of it. And then going into the weekend, and have a good weekend following. So again, thanks to Katie for joining the chat. And thanks to all of you for joining the evening as well. And make sure you hop over to Katie's channel at quarter past the hour for another Christmas-themed Christmas lights video. So thanks, everybody. Merry Christmas to all of you. And thanks for joining. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now.